Yo, welcome to Philosopher's Stoned. I feel like it's been a minute since I did something, and I've had this episode ready for a little while. The subject is not new. It's actually pretty fucking old, but it got reignited in my little brain by a book by Tracy Twyman called Dead But Dreaming. It's a real good, interesting read and very quick. You can knock it out in one night. Took me about an hour and a half, and I've read it a couple times over. So, yeah. Here's where we get into the Necronomicon, some of the Lovecraft shit. So regardless of what kind of character the dude was, I'm very interested in his writings, specifically the Necronomicon. It meshes with the whole Anunnaki pantheon that I personally love. Most of you should know that by now if you've been watching the channel. So yeah, I got inspiration to do this after reading Dead But Dreaming by Tracy Twyman. It's such a good read, and it really goes deep into the Cthulhu mythos and its connections to the Sumerian Anunnaki pantheon and even the Babylonian creation myth. So this episode is going to be focused on the Magan text, mostly part one of it, because that's the interesting connection stuff. Now the Magan text is essentially the backbone of the mythos of said Necronomicon. Most would say that it's a paraphrased version of the Babylonian creation myth, the Enuma Elish, which I'm going to cover pretty soon, and I'm going to do my own translation, meaning tablet by tablet, pretty soon, probably in the next coming weeks. I'm sure that will bore some people, but I don't give a fuck. Like I've said before, if it bores you, skip it. The Magan text virtually tells the same story of the war between the Ancient Ones and the Elder Gods, Marduk's rise to power by slaying Tiamat, and Inanna's descent into the underworld. So Tiamat is also represented in the biblical text as Leviathan, mainly referenced in the Hebrew Bible, Book of Job, Book of Amos, some other ones. So Leviathan, aka Tiamat, this is the primordial underwater abyss sea serpent entity. She is one of the beings Lovecraft refers to as the Ancient Ones and the Most High God of the totem pole. And Enki and Marduk and the newer deities are consorted as the elder gods who rebel against her. If you watch my Marduk episode, you'll know Marduk absolutely destroyed Tiamat in the Anunnaki mythos, which created our planets and basically our solar system, the asteroid belt, the reason why things in space are the way they are. So in Mesopotamia, Magan was a region located west of Sumer, used for diorite and copper around 550 BC. The word Magan was related to the phrase, the place of death, regarding that the ancient myth or belief that the sun died in the west and descended into the underworld. So that's where we make the connection with the whole black sun thing, that the world is centered around a black sun inside of the earth. Some hollow earth shit, baby. You know, I love that. And the fact that the phrase Magan is related to the place of death, it's like it already had a predetermined dark origin. So let's go over some of the specific passages from the Magan text. Hearken and remember in the name of Anu, remember in the name of Enlil, remember in the name of Enki, remember when on high the heavens had not been named, the earth had not been named, and naught existed but the seas of Absu, the Ancient One, and Mummu Tiamat, the Ancient One, who bore them all, their waters as one water, at this time before the elder gods had been brought forth, uncalled by name, their destinies unknown and undetermined, then it was the gods were formed within the Ancient Ones. So, the phrase "before the elder gods" has been brought forth blatantly means before Marduk defeated Tiamat, before the planets had been formed into planets, before the creation of man itself, and then the gods were formed within the ancient ones. That's referring to Enki, Marduk, and their whole little crew, who in the Necronomicon are the elder gods, who arose from the ancient ones. If you're confused yet, I'm sorry. Go back and read the other shit. I mean, go listen to the other episodes on the Pantheon of the Anunnaki. Alright, here's some more Magan text readings. The Elder Ones came together. They disturbed Tiamat, the Ancient One. As they surged back and forth, they troubled the belly of Tiamat by their rebellion in the abode of heaven. Apsu could not lessen their clamor. Tiamat was speechless at their ways. Their doings were loathsome unto the Ancient Ones. Apsu rose up to slay the elder gods by stealth. With magic, charm, and spell Apsu fought, but was slain by the sorcery of the elder gods, and it was their first victory. His body was lain in an empty space in a crevice of the heavens. Hid he was lain, but his blood cried out to the abode of heaven. Tiamat, enraged, filled with an evil emotion, said, "Let us make monsters, that they may go out and do battle against these sons of iniquity, the murderous offspring who have destroyed a god." So, in the Anunnaki story, Tiamat was upset with Enki and his children because they were disrupting her peace with Apsu, who they ended up killing. Even though she planned to have them killed, she's pissed. So it's like they fucked up her whole little conspiracy planning thing. This is now coinciding with the War in Heaven story. Tiamat creates these demon children, 8 of them, that's where she said, we'll create these monsters, who are led by the high demon Kingu. Enki knows Marduk is the one to defeat Tiamat by prophecy and her legion of new demons. Marduk is victorious against Kingu, and Enki drops the knowledge on him of the secret name, the secret number, and the secret shape. Not sure what those 3 things are exactly, but I kind of have an idea. So that gives him access to these divine powers of magic. Here's another excerpt from the Magan text describing this. Enki, our master, fearing defeat, summoned his son Marduk, the son of magic, told him the secret name, the secret number, and the secret shape, whereby he might do battle with the ancient horde, and be victorious. Marduk, Kurios, brightest star among the stars, strongest god among the gods, son of magic and the sword, child of wisdom and the word, knower of the secret name, knower of the secret number, knower of the secret shape. He armed himself with the disc of power, in chariots of fire he went forth. With a shouting voice he called the spell, with a blazing flame he filled his body. Dragons, vipers, all fell down, lions, horsemen, all were slain. So that was the text precursing what was to come. The battle of Marduk and Tiamat. He's armed and dangerous, with weapons of magic, and riding a chariot of fire, shouting with a voice more powerful than before. Now, let's go back. I want to go over that part. Shouting with a voice he called the spell, so it's almost as if his voice transformed into some higher frequency that he could rattle the other gods with. Like his yell shook them, literally. We'll move on. We'll go over some more text that describe it. Marduk, struck with the disc of power, blinded Tiamat's eyes of death. The monster heaved and raised its back, struck forth in all directions, spitting ancient words of power, screamed the ancient incantations. Marduk struck again and blew an evil wind into her body, which filled the raging wicked serpent. Marduk shot between her jaws. The charmed arrow of Enki's magic Marduk struck again and severed the head of Tiamat from its body, and all was silent. Remember, Marduk, victor, took the tablets of destiny, unbidden, hung them around his neck. Acclaimed of the elder gods was he. First among the elder ones was he. He split the sundered Tiamat in twain and fashioned the heavens and the earth, with a gate to keep the ancient ones without, with a gate whose key is hid forever. Save to the sons of Marduk, save to the followers of our master Enki, first in magic among the gods. From the blood of Kingu he fashioned man. He constructed watchtowers for the elder gods, fixing their astral bodies as constellations, that they may watch the gate of Absu, the gate of Tiamat they watch, the gate of Kingu they oversee, the gate whose guardian is Ayak Sakak they bind. Alright, so there's 2 points that I want to make here. One, Enki has always been related to the planet Saturn, meeting Satan, and Marduk, being referred to as the brightest star amongst the stars, is presumably Lucifer. The leader of the rebellion against the gods, Marduk, or Lucifer, causes the ancient ones, the oldest gods, to fall from heaven. Now, my second point is about the fight between Marduk and Tiamat. These cosmic forces and magical weapons clashing are much more than a sword fight. Like, it's a lot more than just two people fighting. The death of Tiamat and the dissection of her primordial being formed the earth and the planets as we know them. Now the ancient ones are trapped in the underworld, as in the Greek mythos, the Titans are imprisoned in Tartarus, or Tartaria, whichever one you want to say. It's in the center of the earth. It's basically a prison for the gods. And then that other part is where Marduk created humans from the blood of Kingu, the demon Tiamat created to defeat these new gods she was so threatened by. Remember, she said, I'm going to create these monsters, and they were led by Kingu. So this brings me back to the Satan-Lucifer thing. It's almost as if the Judeo-Christian tales of the Bible have been reversed as to who we see as good and evil. If Enki is Satan and Marduk is Lucifer, then these two are responsible for humanity and keeping us alive. And really, that's who we should be thanking as humans for still being here, and not some slave race that's just here to mine gold. I'm not taking any stance here. I'm just reading and reporting, just looking through this text, and these are the points of views that I see. And the connections are just so strong. So if you've looked into this stuff before, you might have some other biblical connections that I could probably make. I know Cain has a connection to this. I don't want to make this video too long, so I'm not going to go into it. But I definitely suggest reading the Magan text yourself. There's a few other parts that go into Inanna and some other shit. I mean, you could say that Simon Magus, who did this Necronomicon, stole this idea from the Anunnaki pantheon, but I don't know if those timelines add up. I mean, I'm sure he was into it. I'm not really sure. That's something else I need to research, I guess. I just find it interesting that these gods, as Tracy Twyman put it, could be dead but dreaming in some underworld prison. So that's that. I'm sure we'll revisit the Necronomicon or parts of it and maybe explain a little bit more what it is in its entirety. But for now, I'm just doing more connections, more dot connecting. You know I like to do that. It's very satisfying. Thank you for watching Philosopher's Stoned. I'll give you a little hint about what's coming up next. We're going to get into the occult again. And this time we're going to go a little weirder. Going to talk about Jack Parsons and his Babylon working. I've got the whole book. I've read it a couple times. I'm trying to understand magic more. It's not easy. It's not easy to understand. You really have to get into a mindset to understand it, and it's a lot of reading. And I got shit to do. You know what I'm saying? I got kids. I got a job. But you know I'll get it done. Thank you for watching. This is Philosopher's Stoned. Stay tuned and stay safe out there. I know there's a lot of bullshit going on. I don't even want to get into it. Peace.